Browns. You're going to turn this weekend around. We're going to turn around right here. Right there in the donkey pit of death. Where we've seen that number 7 take our heart out. Not today. A lot of people are worried about this game because of the playing. And it should be noted. Broncos are coming in hot. They've won 4 in a row. But you know what? The Browns are hot. Browns have won some big games lately. I think people forget that. They didn't just beat, teams that are just so, Bears and, Cardinals. No. They beat Ravens on the road. Go Browns. Go Cavs. JB needs to go, says Bubba. 2-1. Where's my defense, Cavs? Look at Tony Camino in his Browns gear. Good morning, Tony.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. What's going on?
Good morning. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I'm tired of all this talk of the Broncos are hot. Broncos are just coming in here. Look, I'm not naive. Maybe I was a bit strong the other day on YouTube. Look, Russell Wilson is obviously more experienced. I get it. But there's not this. This is not Russell Wilson from 5 years ago, Tony.
No.
It really isn't. It isn't like there's this guy who's running around, standing on his head, making throws. He's game managing. He's just game managing. Let's go. Browns is right, Jake Quick.
Yeah, the Broncos have been hot, but if you've watched their last couple of games, last week came down to Cortland Sutton catching a 50-50 ball right over the head of a defender. So if that's the way the Broncos want to live and that's the way they have to get it done, it's going to be really tough for them to keep winning. But it's not like they've been out here. They've been beating solid teams, but they've been beating struggling teams. So they're coming in hot, but they haven't looked great. It's not going to be a walk in the park at all, but it's not like there's some blazing hot new Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I just am tired of this. Browns just be lucky to have shoestrings on their shoes. Come on. The Broncos are not that great. Gavin, Broncos have the worst rush defense. They do. Let's talk about that. They have got to do a better job today, and they will running the ball. They didn't run the ball great last week. Adam Jacobs, DTR, is on a longer leash. We'll get to that in a second. But, Tony, got to run the ball till they win. Cannot allow the Broncos to win the running game like they did last week against the Steelers. They got away with it last week. They won't get away with it today.
Yeah, it's probably going to be one of the inverse of what we usually talk about in terms of generic football talk, but usually talk so much about the run to open up the pass. You're going to see the teams, even though the Broncos aren't a good run defense, probably going to stack the box because of DTR quarterback. So probably going to be a little skewed to not just the typical Broncos run defense, but nonetheless, if we can still get that initial push, we're still going to be good to get the 4 to 5 yards of play. Maybe not the home run hitting plays that we've seen from Chubb in the past or even Ford this year, but they need to be able to throw it a little bit, but they should be able to run and get 4 to 5 regardless of if there's 8 or 9 in the box or not.
I think DTR's leash is going to be long, and here's why. Once you go to Flacco, you can't go back to DTR. So they have to make sure about this. I think DTR is going to play the whole game, Tony, unless it's putrid bad. Now, if it's putrid bad, then you're going to see Flacco. Other than that, I think DTR's got a long leash because, again, I'll repeat, you can't go back to DTR if you bench him. It's very, very hard to do that in the NFL. So once you go to Flacco, you're going with him.
Yeah.
You can't go back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like you can't even really use last week or even the week before to evaluate DTR at all because the game plan was so much just get the ball out. Get the ball out. It doesn't matter we were not going to let TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith beat us, especially with James Hudson and Garon Christian playing. So just get the ball out. Continue to get the ball out. Now with DeWand in, because you saw a lot of the bigger throws DTR made in the game was when DeWand was in and he had time to sit in the pocket. So now today is really that first game where he's going to have some time to sit in the pocket. I think they're still going to try to get the ball out of his hands quickly because the longer he holds onto the ball, the more potential for turnovers. But he's going to have a little bit more time to sit back there, read the defense, and actually throw the ball more than just 2 yards downfield. So I think the leash will definitely be longer today as it's kind of like that first real game for him.
Gavin points out that the defense is not good for the Broncos. I agree with you. Brown's secondary will feast on 50-50 balls. I agree with that too. Again, this is not a world-beating team. They just gotten hot, and they have. And they do have a good coach. I don't think Flacco was activated. There's not been an official inactives list yet, Jay Witt. I've learned this about the Browns. I would not buy into anything until that inactives list comes out. And from everything I'm hearing, Tony, I do think they're going to activate Flacco today. I'd be surprised if they didn't, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think they want to get him in regardless because he's been in the building for not like a week. So I feel like they're probably, even in the scenario where DTR plays bad or gets hurt, I feel like they might still would want to go with PJ just because, I mean, 1 week in a new offense is, you don't always learn everything. I know Flacco's a smart guy and a veteran, but he doesn't know all the new terminology and all the new stuff. So I don't know. Maybe if he doesn't get activated, it'll probably be mainly because of that. He still could, though. He's a smart guy. He's been around a lot of football, so maybe he's picking up on things faster than you would expect.
I'm just reading a non-verbal. I don't
Yeah.
really hear PJ praise. Jay Dizzle 5. Brown special teams have been very good this year. They have. They've actually really improved. In fact, they didn't start off the year well, but they've really improved lately. We're burying the lead. The Browns defense is still very good. And in this game, they should be. I don't really fear anything. I really don't fear anything here, Tony. I don't fear anything here where it's like Wilson can do this. Cortland Sutton, sure. Judy, sure. But they're not. I don't know. Nothing really scares me about the Broncos, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. They got a lot of solid talent. I think the only thing that really scares me is Pat Surtain, but you can kind of game plan away from throwing at a cornerback, especially when you're being a more limited pass offense like the Browns. If I saw one of the other guys commented about Njoku, yeah, I think with DTR going forward, it's going to be Njoku constantly. He's so good with the ball in his hands. You got to get the ball in his hands first and foremost, but once he gets it, he's a demon after the catch. And I think while Surtain's a great player and even Justin Simmons is a really good player, they can't just wreck the game with one cornerback. And they're skill players. Sutton, Judy, yeah, they're good players, but they're not usually going to just take over and win the games themselves.
I hope that Cooper has that kind of day. Zach Pokeroy, I would be astonished if he had 8 catches for 150 yards. I won't be expecting that today. By the way, it's supposed to be very, very cold in Denver, like 20 degrees cold. So it is, and it's going to no snow, but like blazing cold. Write it down. My kitty cats will beat the Jay Dizzle. I think it's time for you to do the old mock draft if you're a Bengals fan. Kitty cats, enjoy the mock drafts. They're wonderful. It's that kind of year. The other thing in this game, real quick, Tony, that I do think is a concern is that it's on the road against a team that's in a hostile environment, against a team that's played a lot of home games lately. The Broncos after this game played majority on the road. This is their last game. They played 5 out of their last 6, I believe, at home. So they've had a lot of home cooking here. I do worry about that. I think that does affect the DTR a little bit. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's going to affect everyone, especially just that pure altitude factor. I mean, everybody talks about it. It's not something new. You go there, it's a little shortness of breath. It's not like you're just getting super tired, but it's just a different type of breathing up there. And hopefully that's the biggest thing where the offense doesn't necessarily need to put up 30 points, but they have to be able to sustain some drives just to give those guys a break so they can actually catch their breath. Because this is the one time you talk about defenses getting tired all the time. That's a really common talking point with a bad offense. And that usually is some part of a contributor. But in this kind of a scenario where you're actually breathing in these tough conditions, if they're getting on the field after every 3 plays, they're going to run out of gas pretty quickly.
Yep, the road factor is definitely, and again, it's supposed to be very, very cold today in Denver, like in the 20s kind of stuff. Hope Kevin doesn't try to outcoach himself today. DJ, I've actually been one of the hardest critics on that man. I think he's having a very good year. I gotta be honest. I think he's having a really good year coaching. So I gotta play clean as hell today. Field possession, I agree with that, Jay Dizzle. Speaking of that, real quickly, Tony, thoughts on the Buckeyes? Devastating loss again for the Buckeyes yesterday. I thought that was a tough trip. Do I think Day should be fired? No. Do I think Day should be worried about his job? No. Do I think Day's going to be able to overcome this? I don't know. No, that was a tough loss yesterday.
Yeah, it was tough. They played pretty well, too, which makes it even worse. It's not like the past 2 years where it was just a straight whooping up front on both sides and it was a blowout. That was the game that was there. Michigan played well. Ohio State played well. Michigan just made a couple more plays. I wouldn't look to move on from Day unless – for some reason, Urban Meyer really wanted to come back. I think that's the clear move to make. Otherwise, I don't know if there's really an upgrade. Like, I know Ohio State's one of the better jobs you could ask for, but if you go 60, whatever his record is, 60-7, and that doesn't secure you more years, who wants to come to that job? That just seems like, I know it's a great job, but the security and the pressure on it is at an all-time high. So I feel like he's probably safe, but I can understand the frustrations.
I think it's a transition. I grew up in the 80s and 90s with Cooper, and that was a Cooper loss where you look across the field. It's like Michigan's a good team. Don't get me wrong. Michigan's a good team. Better NFL talent, Buckeyes. Better things out there, boy. Buckeyes could have done some things. More mistakes, Buckeyes again, and no running game. I thought that was a devastating. I don't know if they'll be able to overcome that kind of thing. I know a lot of people want Urban Meyer back. A reminder: Urban Meyer got pushed out because of a legal battle. Urban Meyer's not going back to Ohio State. Just can't. Don't see that road at all. Okay, finally, Tony, I am worried about the Cavs defense. I don't know where it's gone. It went missing. I would love to have it back. They had it for a few games. They even had it in Philly. Boy, last night, defense just, I mean, Olay defense these last two games. Olay. Like, Lane was wide open again last night.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it because they did so well against Embiid and Jokic that they were kind of due for a big man to just dominate. Anthony Davis he's kind of one of those guys where he's going to have a night where he dominates and then he has a night where he doesn't do much. He looked pretty unstoppable last night, and that kind of just wrecked the whole game. And even with that, they were still in it. I think the defense needs to look better, but some of the moves they made in the offense were to sacrifice a little bit of defense just to get some more offense. And I think most times it's going to work. I would, in a situation like that where the big man's dominating, I would have liked to see Tristan a little bit more
in this game. DJ,
yeah.
Actually, ironically, the Cavs have been rebounding better than I thought. Last night they got out-rebounded, but these last two games, I mean, I get it. Anthony Davis and LeBron, I mean, don't get me wrong. But Olay defense. I mean, just whatever the Lakers wanted. There was a couple possessions where no one was in the lane. And we have Mobley, and we have Allen. Just where's the defense in these games? I don't agree with people. I think Mitchell's going to be here and fine. I am not worried about Mitchell. My other big note on the Cavs, get healthy, please.
Yeah.
Garland out again, too, it sounds like.
Probably
just got to get healthy.
Yeah.
They've got to get healthy. All right. I like the Browns in this game, obviously. I know people are going to ride the Broncos thing, and my gosh, am I an 80s kid, know the Broncos well. Yes, the Broncos are hot. I agree with DJ Links about the Cavs. Consistency is big. And I don't agree with DJ Dizzle. I think actually Tristan will help physicality. I like the Browns today, 17-7. I am not as big a believer in the Broncos have turned this whole thing around. I think they played much better. I think the Browns are a better team. On the road, it's going to be tough. I can see this game being 7-7 until the fourth quarter, and then stuff breaks out. But that's what I see today, 17-7 Browns.
I think the Browns will find a way to get a couple more points on the board. Maybe offense, maybe some turnovers. I'll say 2014 Browns get this one.
DJ says 24-10. I would go a little higher if the warmer weather was a little higher. Again, only in the 20s in Denver. So it's going to be a very cold game for a kid like DTR who's a California kid. Get your mittens out. I'm coughing. I'm so excited about the cold weather. Okay. Tony Camino. Read all this stuff at BelieveInTheLand.com. BelieveInTheLand.com. Our YouTube page. We have all sorts of YouTube videos out there. You'll love them. I got 28-10 Browns. Gavin, I would love to see that today. I got 17-7. Tony's got 24-10, I believe. So that's what we have today in these games. Check everything out. Goodbye. Time to get some more coffee.
Yep.
Tony, great to see you. Love your hat.
Thank you.
Oh, Jay Dizzle. Cheer for a different team. Enjoy your mock drafts. Goodbye. Goodbye.